Welcome to another episode of Hard Conversations. I am your host. I am Dr. Michelle J. Clark. This is more than a podcast, guys. This is a place where we have those hard conversations that many people avoid, but everybody needs. All right. Welcome. My goal is to create a space that is honest, that is respectful, and meaningful conversations that inspire us to think differently, grow personally, and challenge our perspectives, right? So let's make sure that we do that. Okay. Thank you for joining me today. Today, today is a hard conversation, guys. Today's episode is a little different. I do want to say this disclosure. This isn't me attacking anyone. I want to say that this is not me attacking anyone. That's not my character. That's not what I do. This isn't about proving anybody right, and it's not about proving anybody wrong. It's about documentation. It's about facts. It's about sharing my personal experiences. And I recently heard about Cheyenne Bryant discussing her experience involving Argosy University. Hearing her story, it reminded me of my own experience, believe it or not. So I want to make sure I want you guys to know I can't speak on anybody else's journey. I can only speak about mine. And today I want to share exactly um, what happened to me and show you the documentation that I still have years later. So my experience. So years before I earned my PhD at Walden University, I attended Argosy University. When the news began circulating around the university about closure, they wasn't sure at the time. We just kept hearing. Well, my colleagues and we kept hearing, about closure. Um, we and then I finally received official communication from the Department of Education, and I remember specifically because they actually emailed us a week before, right? And I still have the receipts. I still have the emails. I also kept my sealed transcripts as well. But going back to that, I just remember them sending emails. They actually said the week before, "Hey, come down here. We're going to be, we're going to have different universities here. We're going to have, everybody here working to get your transcripts for you." So I just recall just going down there, and I got several. I'm talking about several sealed transcripts, and you know, I just remember it was so disheartening because this was, I want to say, well, I have the email here, March 8th, 2019, right? And I had 2.5 weeks before I finished my first master's. And I'm saying to myself, one thing that I've learned about this life is that you always make sure you keep documentation because you never know when you're going to need it years later, right? So today I still have those records. And I will show you a screenshot of that. Um, so as you can see, once I show you this, the communication explained that we would receive additional information regarding the um, available options for us if the university closed. Well, we do know it closed, and then it also stated on transfer opportunities and possible um, school closure loan discharges. So going back to that week, I recall going down there to Argosy, went down there to like it was like the first floor. I just remember lines of people, right? I got 7 transcripts sealed, right? I want to say I still maybe have 4 of them, and then they had in an area they had where they had different universities there. Well, I went around to each table, and I just remember hearing the spiel about, what these universities offered. I didn't really like any of the universities here, so I did my own research and, hey, I chose Walden University. Walden is a great school. I am an ambassador for Walden University. I am going to say that because it is a great school. Um, and I just remember that the option that I didn't care about my loans being discharged. I had done the work. I was 2.5 weeks shy from my master's. And I said to myself, I didn't do all that work for nothing. So I'm gonna go to another university. Long story short, went to the university, got my first master's from Walden, right? So again, I'm not asking anybody to take my word for it. I'm not, but I do want to. I'm just showing you guys that actual documentation that I received, right? And again, why does this matter? You're probably like, why does this matter? Who cares? So we live in a world that people are quickly forming opinions based on clips, based on headlines, based on social media posts. I mean, all these different things. And, you know, it comes a time where we have to stop and look at the documentation. A documentation tells a deeper story. Whenever possible, you know, read documentation, ask questions. Um, I'm very inquisitive. I'm always asking questions. Verify the facts. Verify it. It's okay. You know, um, don't simply just believe someone's word because of what they said or because of even this. Verify the information. It's real simple. Look for that evidence. Make sure that you're just checking all those boxes, right? So my journey, it didn't stop there. I was a little disgruntled because come on, you're at the end of your master's program. 2.5 weeks later, then they're saying all this. So it didn't stop there. Um, it could have the closure of Argosy could have discouraged me, but it didn't. Instead, I kept going. Right, I continued my education, and years later, I earned my PhD from Walden University. And I just want to show you just this here because it's real simple. It's a simple fix. This right here is my dissertation, right? It's a book, okay? Um, and the first page is just basically kind of says, you know, who we are. It's real. It's real simple. So I just wanted to show you that, um, and I want to clarify why, because the dissertation, I want people to know it was years of sacrifice, even though it took me 2.5. Um, Sacrifice, perseverance, research, it's dedication, and it is, and this is publicly available in ProQuest. ProQuest. Okay, you can look that up for anyone to verify my work. Is right here in this book that I just showed you, and you can do that. Right. I don't expect anybody to simply believe me because I said I have a doctorate. You know, I encourage you to verify the facts. I encourage you to do this for yourself if that's what is needed. But you know what? The thing is, through all of this, that's what education should be about, right? That's what they tell you to do. Go to school, get an education. Isn't that what integrity looks like? Right? So, my message to you guys is to always, whether we're talking about education, business, we talking about relationships, we talking about finance, we talking about ourselves, right? Keep your records, keep your receipts. As the young people say, I got the receipts. Protect your documentation. Because one day you don't know, those documentations can tell your story better than any memory can or could ever have, right? So again, My final thoughts on hard conversations is not about winning those arguments. It's about pursuing truth. And again, these are the hard conversations. It's about truth. This episode, again, was not created to criticize anyone. It was created to encourage us to think critically, right? Seek the facts, verify the information before reaching the conclusion. That's all. That's why what it is. You want to. Truth never fears examination, right? So, with that being said, thank you for joining this hard conversation, another episode. And if today's conversation encouraged you, challenged your thinking, gave you something to reflect on, do me a favor, just hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, share it with someone else that needs to hear this message. And again, I would love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and let us know. And again, think about this. What hard conversations do you believe the world needs to have today? But until next time, don't be afraid to have the hard conversations. It just might change your life. God bless, and I will see you next time. Have a good night.